Up next is a Southside Panthers new coach, Miles Holcomb. His first year at Southside. He spent 2 years at Crossville. And Coach, if you'll introduce the players for us and give us some opening comments and the outlook for the Panthers here in 2021.
Yes, sir. So we'll go from my left. So Ethan Lott, he's defensive end. Spencer Sharp, outside linebacker. Damon Hitchcock, wide receiver. And Tucker Pierce, guard. For us, we returned 18 seniors for us this year. I know everybody knows the group that we lost last year was a pretty talented group, pretty athletic group. But I've said since day one, since I got to know that this senior group that we've got coming back, that not only are they special and probably more special than people give them credit for because of the group they played behind, but I think they got something to prove also. They got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. You know, obviously playing 6A football is no easy task. I feel good about the guys we got coming back. We're young. Well, you know, we've got a bunch of guys coming back. I know just up here at the table, we've only got 2 guys returning as a starter in the same spot they started at last year. All 4 guys started. They just didn't start in the same position that they're starting at this year. We found a way to be able to platoon guys. We don't have any two-way players, which has been extremely beneficial for us. It's always fun to put a new staff together. We do have some guys that have stayed on, that are with us, that have been there for a little bit. But when you get a chance to put a new staff together and you run new things offensively and defensively, you know, it's just fun to watch kids learn, watch kids grow, and get to experience just teaching them every single day, and watching those guys prepare and then end up performing when we get out there to play. So that's been a fun process to watch.
Coach, you mentioned some great players last year, especially on the offensive side of the ball with Rich and Reed and Carnell Davis. Those guys graduated. Mm-hmm. Talk about your offense and who are some of those guys that you're looking to fill those holes this year for the Panthers?
Well, I think, you know, obviously the guy sitting right here to my right, Damon Hitchcock, he's going to be our inside receiver. You know, we played a couple 7-on-7s. He's been pretty explosive for us. Obviously, replacing Michael is Gage Naismith. You know, G played safety last year, but he's rolling over to the offensive side of the ball as a quarterback. You know, he's a young kid, but he's pretty mature to be a young kid, sophomore kid. So he's picked it up well. He's still learning. He gets coached pretty hard. I mean, he's in there. Unfortunately, he's in there with me every day. So, you know, his job's a little bit different than a lot of people's. He's got to know what everybody's supposed to do. And he's still learning like everybody else is, but he has high expectations. In the backfield, you know, Maddox Parsons has done a great job in the spring, but not only Maddox, we've got 2 guys back there, Maddox Parsons and Tyler Green, who I thought had really good springs. You know, Carnell's a hard guy to replace, there's no doubt. When you watch his tape, he ran hard, he was physical, he was fast, he had a burst, and he had another level. But I'm just telling you, people are going to downplay, you know, the fact that we got Maddox and Tyler back there because we've lost Carnell. And I think some people will be surprised with how well and how good of backs those 2 guys are.
Coach, you haven't shied away from any kind of competition at this point. You actually went to Hoover and obviously the Gadsden City Panthers camp, and amongst others. Talk about the expectations you are setting just by going out to these places and playing not just like locally talented teams, but national powerhouses like Lowndes and other teams like that in these 7-on-7s.
We want to win it. I mean, I don't know another way to say it. Like, if we don't win it, I'll be disappointed. I think everybody up here is going to be disappointed. I know people are going to think, and they're going to hear that and be like, this guy right here. I mean, I get it. I don't care. I mean, we're going to win it. Like, I told our staff the other day, like, we put ourselves out there now. Like, we're vocal on social media. Like, and we're going to continue to be vocal on social media. And, like, we are who we are. I ain't going to be nobody else. And if we don't win, I'm going to be disappointed. But if we're going to try to win it in 6A, I know how talented those teams are. Well, we got to go play people that we're not going to see. You know, we don't need this, the first time we see a 4-star or 5-star to be middle of the season. Like, if we're going to see them in the season, let's just go ahead and see them in the summer. You know, we went to Hoover and played in that, you know, National Elite 7-on-7 and didn't play a team out of Alabama. Now, we went 2-5 in pool play. When you look back at it, if we'd have made about 3 more plays a game, we'd have went 5-2, you know, versus pretty stiff competition. And the 2 games that we lost, I think the biggest issue that we had to overcome had nothing to do with the people that we played. I think it was overcoming the fact that we didn't know if we were supposed to be there. You know, when we got off the bus, I think our guys kind of looked around. They was like, ooh. I mean, they can answer that question better than I can. But I think when we got off the bus, their initial reaction was like, "Are we supposed to be here? Like, we really gonna compete against these guys?" And then we started to play it, and I think they realized that we can play with anybody. I mean, it is what it is. You know, we got who we got. We don't need nobody else, and that's just kind of our motto.
Hey, Coach, I love the fact that you're coming in, putting your own stamp on things, right? It's not the status quo around here. You guys are different, and it's exciting. Talk about that just a little bit.
Well, I had a lot of guys tell me, and especially when I was in college and had a chance to play for some really good coaches, when they realized that I was going to get into coaching, they said, "Hey, like when you get a chance to do it your way, do it your way." I mean, this is my way, you know. I think it's important for us to be able to build a culture. You know, everybody sees our culture is kind of on everything we put out there, you know, and everybody asks what it is. Well, you know, if you're in it, you'd know, you know, and if you're not in it, we don't care if you know or not. I mean, that's just kind of the way we think about it. So our guys know what it is. They believe in it. They buy into it. And I think they've grown to kind of love the way we do what we do and how we do what we do, because that's more important than what we do is how we do what we do. So they gave me an opportunity to run it, so I'm going to run it my way.
This is for the players, kind of bouncing off what Coach said about playing that tough competition in Hoover and then at Gadsden City. How much more confidence did that give you guys heading into the season, knowing that y'all already played some top-level guys? They won't be brand new to you.
I mean, I think it gave us a huge confidence boost because, I mean, we're not used to playing all those teams that are 7A with 3, 4, 5 stars. And when we actually got out there and competed, I mean, it really was a huge confidence boost because we were like, well, I mean, we can compete with all these teams from out of state that are running for championships everywhere else. So, I mean, why can't we do that here in Alabama? So, I mean, it was just real big. So,
yeah, it really showed us that we could play with anybody that we go up against, and that we belong anywhere that we can go play at. Like we're not going to shy away from the competition that we're going to go play. We're going to go play hard, and we're going to give it our all every time.
Coach, just getting a little technical for a minute. I believe you're running the run and rate offense.
Yes,
and then
sir.
The defense.
We are. So
how's that going, installing it, and how are the kids buying into it so
yeah,
far?
so run and raid, it's a fun little deal we put on it last year. So we actually came up with it. We literally came up with it last year, at the end of the year last year when I was still at Alpharetta. So myself, our head coach at Alpharetta, Jason Curvin, and then you know we ran a lot of the same concepts we ran when we were both at Hoover. But at the time we were the Raiders, and so it just kind of fit. But then going forward, like part of what we do offensively is called raid the space. We want to make defenses have to cover every single blade of grass. So from sideline to sideline, and then we're going to stretch people vertical. So it all bases off of our personnel placement. We talk about personnel placement as trying to find a way to get our guys to do what they can do, which is pretty easy to say in theory, but it's harder to do than it is to say. Like we don't want to ask our guys to do something they can't do. And then after that, it all comes down to our tempo. And listen, people talk about being a tempo team. It comes down to, do you huddle or do you not huddle, right? We don't huddle, right? We huddle occasionally down in the red zone when we got something special we want to do. But we're not going to huddle, right? And so we're going to play at our tempo. We change it up. Sometimes we go super fast. Sometimes we don't. You know, I think it just depends on who the opponent is and what we're trying to do. And then it comes to our vertical run game and then our vertical pass game that plays off the vertical run game. Now, when it comes to we fence, like our we fence is really what we would consider special teams. Like it ain't offense, it ain't defense. It's offense and defense. So we do it together. So we just call it we fence. And to me, like we've been practicing we fence for about the last 3 weeks. I don't ever want guys to if we got a chance to go field a kick, right? And people don't think about it. I guess, you know, you just don't think about it because it just kind of gets overlooked a little bit. Like if we got a chance to field the ball on the 32, like we catch a punt on the 32, and like we just don't because we ain't caught enough punts throughout the year and we let it roll, and now all of a sudden it's at the 16. Like we just lost 2 first downs. Like why are we gonna let that thing roll? Like let's just go field that kick. you know, and I think it's important for us to be able to steal a few yards in special teams when people don't, you know, maybe somebody don't put as much emphasis on it than we do because they got maybe a little more talent than we do. Well, see how that works out.
I want to ask each of the players. Coach Holcomb has asked you to come today to represent the Southside Panthers in your football team for this year. Would you talk about how that makes you feel?
It means a lot because, man, we're really all together. So it's really like a brotherhood that we have together, and the bond to come out and represent us as Southside, it means a lot.
I think it's pretty special that we all get to come out here and represent Southside, not just ourselves, not our like brothers on the team. And I think it means a lot.
Ethan just plays Dean. He just plays super hard. You know what I mean?
That's all we need to know.
I mean, I think it's real special that he brought us four out here, especially because like all of us are real close friends together. And so, I mean, even though we're not all on the same side of the ball or the same position or anything, like, we're still super close as a family together and have been for multiple years now. Us four up here have, you know, played a lot or started for the last 2 or 3 years now. So we've grew close together, and we've been through moments like this a lot, and we've gone to battle together. So I think it's good that we can represent our school like this.
Coach, when we came up to our preseason show with you guys, we talked about the competition, and the players talked about how intense it is at practice. But not only at practice, but no, you and Coach Bowen as well, like in you guys' scrimmage game. Talk about that relationship and how intense it gets at practice when you go on ones versus ones.
Well, we get to go ones versus one a lot, you know. So that's just kind of what we do. Like we try to sharpen our edge with each other, using each other. I mean, if anybody has a sibling, you know, and that all of a sudden that sibling does something really good and they start talking about it, like there's something you know innately inside of you that just wants to compete, you know, and win. There was about, I would say, the Wednesday before we went and played in the last 7-on-7. That was probably the best competition we had all year, and it was just 7-on-7. Like it was just scale guys. It was just our skill guys. We were just going. We were moving the ball, you know. But guys didn't even realize they were tired because they were competing. Like we're running routes full speed. Guys are covering full speed. Like we're rallying to the football. We're making plays, and you know. But nobody knows they're tired because when it all of a sudden when it means something to you. And like when you're willing to have enough courage to put yourself out there to let everybody know, like, hey, this matters. And like all too often right now, society wants to clown on people for caring too much, or well, you know, you wanted to win, now you didn't win. Look at you, like you lost, right? And so what happens is people just decide, like, I ain't even gonna put myself out there. Like I don't want to get clowned if something goes wrong. Well, all of a sudden, like our guys have just figured out, like, let's just compete. Like, who cares what happens? Like, who cares what anybody else says? We tell our guys all the time, like, we just want to be focused on us. Like, I don't worry about none of those other people. Like, we want to celebrate our success, but we don't want to celebrate our success at somebody else's expense. Like, we want to celebrate with each other our success because it's not about anybody else. It's just about us. And I think more than anything else, our guys have figured out, like, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to put yourself out there because you want to win. It's okay to let everybody know you want to win. And ultimately, if you play as good as you can play and you compete and you prepare, then if you don't, you can still lay your head down at night because you know you guys got you back and you get a chance to do it again, hopefully.
Coach, how does it feel to be back home?
It feels pretty good. It feels pretty good, you know. My mom and dad like it a lot better.
I know I saw them the other day, and they told me how much they liked it.
Yeah, there ain't no doubt. You know, my mom, she did not enjoy us being in Georgia. Now the bad part is I don't think she cared if she saw us or not. She just cared about seeing our son. You know, she just wanted to see Cannon. So she was very excited that we're home. And you know, I think people have asked me this question a couple times. Like, I think coming back here, the reason that I wanted to come back home, like obviously I love being around my family and everything. My wife actually wanted to come back, you know, as well. But this is a place, Southside was a place, and I had the opportunity to watch this kind of happen firsthand when I was at Hoover. The guys that grew up playing in that program just really just all they cared about was like, when can I get to the varsity level, put on an orange and black jersey, and like represent the Bucks, right? We got two cities that do the same thing. Like, we got two groups of kids and two Pee Wee programs that all they want to do is be a Southside Panther on Friday nights when they get that opportunity to. And I think what I would like to do, and the reason that I wanted to come to Southside, was to have the opportunity to get to watch those kids play and grow up and eventually get a chance to play on Friday night. You know, that I think there's something special when you get to be around a kid when he's, you know, I don't know, 9 years old. You know, and he scores a touchdown on A, B, or C team, whichever one he plays on. And then the same kid gets to score touchdowns for you on Friday night. Like, maybe that's a cliche, but like, that's something special. Like, that's a relationship that you'll have for a long time. And our program's about creating relationships and connections with each other, because like, ultimately, like, if you're just in it to win games, like, those are going to come and go. And if you ask what your favorite win is, most people are going to tell you the next one, because they really don't matter. Once they happen, it's over. If you win a state title, all right, it's awesome. It's over. The fact that you got to go on that journey with the people that you're surrounded with and get a chance to compete every single Friday night, like, that's the fun part. Like, that's what you look back on, and the things that you remember and the things that you relish about the opportunity to play the game is the people that are around you. You know, the people that you get to build connections with on a daily basis. Like, you can't put a price tag on that. And so being able to come to a place like Southside and build those relationships with the guys that are here and the guys that are back home, that's the most important thing for me.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, guys, for coming out this morning. Good luck to the Panthers this year. I believe you open with Lincoln
Yes,
on
sir.
the 20th
Yes, sir.
at home.
Yes, sir.
So good luck
Thank you.
in 2021.